Hey YouTube, so I was going to do a quick tutorial today on um, how to ship vinyl records through the mail. I've had pretty good success with the method I'm about to show you. Um, I mean, unless the mailman that's actually delivering it, or when they're transferring it to the one city to another, they just absolutely abuse the hell out of the package. This method has been pretty successful. I feel like anytime somebody's bought from me online, they've been pretty happy with the way I've shipped it. So I figured I'd share that. We're getting into the holiday season, and people are starting to ship albums more and more. And if you ever come across one that you wanted to sell and you just weren't sure how to do it because you're worried it was going to get damaged, or on the flip side, you're buying from somebody and you want to just spot check or kind of double check on how they're shipping it, you can usually ask some questions to find out, because I think a lot of us have been victims of somebody not knowing how to ship a vinyl record. And I've actually had a vinyl record show up in a bubbled envelope, and I was absolutely furious. So again, I thought this would be a good idea to share. So first thing you're going to want to get is a record or LP mailer, which is what this is right here. Now, this can usually hold probably about 1 to 3 albums max, and that's probably even saying single LPs. You don't want to cram 3 double LPs in a box like this. You do not want the records to be very, very snug, but you don't want them to be very loose either. You want to kind of have a little bit of room in there to breathe, but you don't want them packed so tight that you have to shove them in there and pry them in there. But you can see these LP mailers have perforated edges where you can either do like a single kind of say you're just shipping 1 album, you can fold it to 1, or if you're shipping 2 to 3 albums, you can fold it to the 2 and fold it in. These LP mailers, I usually get them online. I really can't ever find them locally, and I'm in a big city area, and I just have really had a hard time finding them like anywhere in town where they sell mail supplies, or some record stores will have them from time to time. Check with your local store if you're interested in getting them, but most of the time you're going to probably end up having to buy them online. So I'll put a link down to where you can find some if you're interested in getting some, but most of them are very similar to this. And you can even get them in sizes for like 45s. This is I think a 13 by 13, specifically designed for vinyl records that are 12 inches. But nonetheless, so I'm going to do kind of a demo. I'm not selling this album, but I just kind of wanted to use this as a demo. Miles Davis Sketches of Spain. So the first thing you're going to do is we'll set this up as a single LP. So I'm going to fold these edges on each side like that. Fold it down, and then again we're going to go with the first setting because it's the smaller. We're only sending 1 album. Do it on all 4 sides. Right. So now you've got it looking like that. And then what I do is I take the smaller flaps and then I bring in the larger flap on top of it. And to me this is important. I don't know. I like to make sure that sometimes I get stuff and it looks kind of like this, and I don't like leaving a lot of space in between. I like to get this pretty snug and even and flush. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect, but I don't know. My thoughts are like, you get a rainy weather day. I want to try to reduce as much water or whatever it is getting in there as possible. So what I typically do is I'll fold it like that, get it nice and snug to where it's even right here. Fold a piece of tape over, and then you've got it where it's set up now. It's not gonna mess up on you. So when it comes to actually loading it into the sleeve or into the box, I like to, and a lot of people prefer this, to ship the LP or the actual vinyl out of the inner sleeve if it's like a used record, and then I'll put them in the bag like this into the outer sleeve. So I'll do this number. What this does is it helps reduce the album, because whenever it's in a box like this, it's gonna shift around when people are moving it around, and if it's still in the outer sleeve, you're gonna run the risk of it getting some splitting the seams, hitting the edges, and then causing it to causing some possibility of damaging it. So I typically just do it like that. I bag it like that. I put it in there. I slide it in. If you have an extra, 12 by 12 piece of cardboard for added protection, you can slide this guy in front of it just to kind of keep it. To me, it's not an absolute necessity to do that. I mean, you can even put a piece of bubble wrap in there, but I'm just gonna, for demo purposes, I'll just, I can kind of slide it in like that. And see, it's still got room in there. It's not super snug, but it's nice. To me, it's a nice, very packed LP. That thing's not going to go anywhere. And then from here, you're just going to seal it up. If you have a packing slip, if you're like an eBay seller, just slide the packing slip in there. And then just fold it down to the pre-folded edge, and now you're going to have it just like that. And then what I do typically is I'll tape the living hell out of this thing too. But I'm going to start over here on the edge here. Again, make sure your stuff's, make sure this is nice and snug in here. And you get it in there. So now it's sealed up. So basically what I usually will do, and I'm not going to do it here just for the sake of time, but I'll usually run another piece of tape across here where it kind of overlaps the tape that I put on originally on both sides. So I'll do one across here and one down here, just for make sure that thing doesn't pop open in the middle of the in transit. And then another thing I do is I will tape the two edges that have the flap open like this. So what I'll do is I'll take a tape like this, and I will tape it where it kind of overlaps the sides like this. And then I press it down real nice. And then I fold it over right here, like almost sealing the open edges. And then when you have this, you can kind of just flap it over and do this number. And then same thing here, press. And then you'll have a little bit of sticky right here, and you just kind of press it over and just really, really press that down, get that nice and sealed. So now your edges are sealed. And I'll do that for both sides. I'll do that for the other side too. I'll tape across. And then usually if you have a peel off label that you print out, you just stick your label there, or you can tape your label if it's just from paper, or you can just hand write in the address and the return address there. I always like to write fragile on both sides, just to remind the postman to be gentle with it because it is fragile. But this is a pretty nice pack. The album's nice and secure in there. And again, unless somebody is just intentionally like messing with this thing and really, really, really going out of their way to damage it, step on it, whatnot, then it's gonna get to its destination in a good shape. So yeah, that's pretty much my quick tutorial on shipping vinyl. Again, I'll post a link if you're interested in picking up some LP mailers. I use these all the time. I usually get a box of like 50, and I'll just keep boxes from records that I've gotten shipped to me, and I'll just reuse them if I ever sell stuff online. But again, pretty safe method. I think most people will be happy with their album if you pack it like that. Again, if you're doing 2 or 3 albums in here and you use the bigger edge, just pack them similar to what I did there. But just, again, don't cram them in there. I mean, if you're having to really push them in there and really pry them to get them in there, you've got too much. I'd say you probably could get like a double LP and 2 single LPs or 3 single LPs in there very comfortably. But once you start getting to 2 double and 1 single, you're probably getting a little bit too much. You may have to do 2 shipments. So hope this helps anybody, and hope everybody has a wonderful rest of the weekend.